There it is. Turn to 420 in your book, and there is a chart there that's easier to look at than me trying to draw all that. So anyway, check that out on page 420. You're going to see the idea of how products get from the man or the manufacturer of those products into your hands, the hands of the consumers. There's a lot of different ways that this can happen. And you're going to see that, I mean, heck, you might go with that first option, direct from the manufacturer into your hands. Nobody touches it in between there. And you see these other people along the way, like manufacturer, retailer to the consumers, manufacturer, wholesaler, retailer to the consumers. Anybody that touches the product in those lines, right, those channels of distribution, anybody that touches it's going to jack up the cost of the product, right? Nobody works for free, nobody. So therefore, anybody that touches it is going to end up jacking up the cost. It's going to cost you more. So the most efficient way, you would think, right, would be to go direct to the manufacturer for all your products. So who's with me? And let's cut out the middleman, because all those other people, they are the middleman. And they are going to cost you more. So who's with me? We get rid of the middleman and we go direct to the manufacturer for everything. What do you say? We're going to save some money, man. That's right. Who's with me? Yeah. We got one dude. Yep, right there. Yeah, anybody else? Come on now. Direct to the manufacturer. Let's save a bunch of money. Who's with me? Okay, there you go. You're with me. I already got 5 or 6 of you. You're with me. So this is going to be great. All right. So let's say that this is the way that we're going to handle our lives now. So we get up in the morning, you know, we're all like, oh gosh, I got to go to class today. So you go in to brush your teeth and you're like, and you're squeezing that toothpaste tube and then nothing's coming out of it. Nothing. So what are you going to do? You need some toothpaste. So what should we do? Where? No, you can't, because the store is a retailer. We have sworn off retailers and wholesalers and everybody else that's trying to rip us off by jacking up the cost of our products. So we want to go direct to the manufacturer for our Crest toothpaste. So you guys, how are we going to order this? We're going to go to the website, go to the, dial them up on the phone or something like that. You guys got their number? Anybody got their number? No? Okay, well, we're going to have to look it up. Somebody look it up, and, you dial it up, and it's about, 7 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, oh, hey, Crest, what's going on? I need some toothpaste. And they're like, well, we got some toothpaste for you. It's only like 35 cents a tube. 35 cents a tube. This is awesome. We are totally saving money, right? Right? 35 cents a tube. There's somebody talking to me. How weird is that? Okay, so we're like, strange. So we're like, all right, 35 cents, this is great. So yeah, give me a tube or two or whatever. Okay, so 70 cents for 2 tubes. And then she's all like, shipping and handling? There's like some sort of shipping and handling on this or whatever. That shipping and handling is going to be like $7. $7 to ship this stuff out in a box or whatever. And it's going to be 4 or 5 days before I get it. Well, that's ridiculous. And she's like, well, don't worry about that. We can get your cost down if you just buy a whole bunch of it, right? We got to fill that box, buy a whole bunch, and you allocate those shipping and handling costs over all of it. And then we're getting that stuff for like right now about $85, $95, $1 a tube. That's way better than the store. All right, let's do it. So you order it up and you're like, oh gosh, I'm saving some money now. And you are, right? But it's going to be almost a week before you get that stuff. So you got nothing to brush your teeth with. But you know what? Brushing your teeth is overrated. Who really needs that? Go without it for a week or so. Okay. So we skip the brushing and we got that stuff coming in, and then we go downstairs and we're getting ready to eat something, and we're out of Cocoa Krispies. We're like, look, there's only a few little Cocoa Krispies left. We need some more cereal. So what are we gonna do? We gotta go direct to the manufacturers. We gotta call up like Kellogg's, Battle Creek, Michigan. I don't know what the number is. We gotta find it somehow or get online. Blah blah blah. And yeah, she's still talking. Isn't that weird? I picked up the phone. She's still talking. So anyway, so I'm dialing up, and all the she says. So I'm dialing up instead, and I need some Cocoa Krispies. And the lady's like, okay, well, we can get those to you, and they're only like $1.15 a box. Oh man, $1. This is great. Those things would be like $3 something in the store. So we're like, all right, do that. Shipping and handling, well, yeah, it's a pretty big box. I understand that. So the shipping and handling is going to be quite a bit. We're looking at like $10, $11, $12 to get that sent to us, and it's going to be multiple days. Well, that stinks. So, well, how can I get that reduced? And she's like, well, if you order a whole bunch of them, we can allocate it and put it in a gigantic box, and it comes out like $1.35 each, Wow, $1.35 each. That's fantastic. So you buy it all up. You bought like a gross of toothpaste and a gross of Cocoa Krispies. Isn't that weird? You don't normally buy things in grosses except for what? Bottle rockets. Isn't that weird that you buy bottle rockets in grosses, but you don't buy a gross of anything else? How weird is that? Well, anyway, so now we just bought 2 grosses of things this morning. Now, we wait a few days and we're going to go ahead and get those in, and all of a sudden here comes our gross of toothpaste. It's delivered, that box is humongous, So we're like, oh my gosh. And you put that inside the living room or something, and you dig out your first and you're like, see, saving money already, and you're just slathering it up and you're brushing away. Well, months and months and months go by, and you're finally going through all your toothpaste, and then after about a year and a half, you go to that next tube, and you're like, that feels weird, super squishy on the bottom, really hard at the top, and you're like, and it's just not coming out because it's all separated. Because you had it in a very hot or cold environment, and toothpaste doesn't like hot and cold environments, and it will separate. You can't get it back together. Oh no matter if you squirt it all over the sink and you try to rub it together, it's not happening. It is pretty much shot at this point. So did you just waste a whole bunch of money on that? Yes, you did. And then you go down and you're like, the next day the gross of Cocoa Krispies arrives. Can you imagine what a gross of Cocoa Krispies would look like in the boxes? 140 boxes of Cocoa Krispies? Where are you going to store that? I don't know either, right? But you're going to put it somewhere, the attic, the basement, the shop, I don't know. And then you're going to be going through them. And we live in Missouri, for crying out loud. So here in 2 months what's going to happen when you open up that bag of Cocoa Krispies. Oh, it's stale. That's absolutely, it's it's like chewing Jolly Ranchers or something. It is just not going to be good. And you're like, crap, the whole thing is ruined now. I thought we were saving money by going direct to the man. But we probably weren't, were we? No. So wouldn't you say that these people along the way, and who are these people along the way?
Intermediaries.
Yeah. These intermediaries, the retailers, the wholesalers, the agents, and the brokers, all those people in the channel of distribution, nodes in the channel, intermediaries in the channel of distribution, they all are doing something for us, even though they are ripping us off. Kind of. They are providing something in exchange. They are providing the risk of housing Cocoa Krispies for X number of months, let's say. And if it goes bad on their watch, well, they have to replace it and get fresher product for us. We don't have to take the fall for that. So, okay, we'll overpay a little bit because of that. That's true. And they put it in a place that's more convenient. Calling up the manufacturer for every single product that you buy. Oh, geez, that's for the birds, That's going to take forever. I don't even want to do that. I might even agree to be, overpay for these products a little bit because they're going to provide in exchange some sort of value or utility that I never had before. Wouldn't that be about right? So they're going to provide a time utility, a time value on these products. And I'm okay to overpay for that because after all, I want it at certain times, maybe when bananas are ripe. Or actually, you could look at possession utility with bananas, possession and time utility. Because if you've ever had a banana before, then you can thank one of these people right here. Retailers, wholesalers, agents, or brokers. Because outside of that, you can't have bananas. We don't grow them in the U.S. They came from Central America. You would never individually be able to get those across the border without ending up in prison for a while, probably, when you came over the border, because they don't like fruits and vegetables that come across because all the weird bugs and all that stuff, which could end up ruining the entire agriculture industry. So you wouldn't be able to do it on your own. You got to thank one of those people. That's why you're being overcharged a wee bit, because these people create value and utility for us. Coffee is the same thing. If you ever had coffee before, you can thank one of those people up there. It's the same deal. So they provide time value, possession value, they provide service value. Maybe you don't know how to buy a house and it seems complicated to you, but they know how to do it, so they will help you through the process. Because they don't own the houses that they're selling you, they are real estate agents. Maybe you want to buy some stock. You can't buy stock just directly from companies. You have to use a stockbroker. Brokers. Wow, isn't that wild? The brokers don't own the stock that they're selling you. They only help you take possession of it. They are ripping you off a little bit in that channel of distribution from the manufacturer or from those that have it into the hands of those that want it. That's what they're doing. So it's kind of interesting that these people exist out there. And then information utility. They provide information along the way, and you're probably going to get charged for that. So if you look at these intermediaries in the channel, retailers and wholesalers, they're very similar in what they do. They usually take possession of the goods. They usually buy in the goods, assume the risk in case the Cocoa Krispies go bad at Walmart. Walmart's not going to sell them to you, or they're going to give you your money back if they are bad. They are going to assume a lot of that responsibility. They own the product. They could go in and burn it all down if they wanted to. They could walk around their store at Walmart and set things on fire, you know, because it's theirs. They own it. They take possession and ownership of it. Agents and brokers do not take possession and ownership of it. They only assist you in buying something. So agents and brokers are very similar in that regard. But together, all of these form the channel of distribution. There's different ways to do it. Some are more efficient than others. So depending on what your product is, you just got to figure out the best way. Now you can look at a lot of companies out there. I mean, Walmart, they're a retailer, and then Sam's Club used to be a wholesaler. So there's different ways that you can plug in different products here. But like Dell, for instance, Dell broke into the market by changing up the channel of distribution. Other companies were using retailers to sell their computers. Not Dell, they went direct to the manufacturer. So by changing the channel of distribution into something that other companies were not doing, they all of a sudden had a chance to gain market share. So not only do you maybe have to, you may not necessarily have to have a different product, you could have a very similar product to everybody else and just change the channel of distribution, and your company might succeed. So keep that in mind too. Now, let's look at the different types of wholesalers that exist, because retailers, you understand quite a bit about them, because almost every store you go into would be classified as a retailer. Yeah, you understand what they are. But let's look at wholesalers, because we often don't go into a lot of wholesale businesses, or a lot of people don't understand what wholesale even is. But there are different types of this. The most classic type of wholesaler is what people would consider to be a merchant wholesaler. This is the old school Sam's Club. When Sam's was originally devised, it was called Sam's Wholesale Club. And regular individuals could not get in there. You had to prove that you were a business, that you were like a retailer, in order to gain access to the store. And it was much more of a low to no frills type of environment back in the day. And that's how Costco started also. It was a true wholesaler where it was no frills, you bought in large quantities, you had to be a retailer in order to gain access to the store. So that would be a classic wholesaler, is a merchant wholesaler. They're going to sell on to other businesses. And then from there, you would there's some other ones that come up. So in order to explain the next one, let me put it into perspective. Let's say that, remember I talked about there were some bugs in this classroom a while ago? We killed them, right? We thought we killed them, but there was more. They were all in the walls and all that, so we're like, oh my gosh, you know. And you're going back to the store and you're like, all right, I need some bug spray. So you run down to Walmart and you're still looking for bug spray, because who knows where that stuff's at? They move it around all the time, right? So you're walking up and in the aisles and you're like, God, it's not here, it's not the cleaning product, it's not up here. I don't know where the heck this stuff is. So then you come across somebody and they're fiddling around with the magazines, you know, and they're like got khaki pants and a button-up shirt and a lanyard and all that, and you're like, oh God, I found an employee. And they're just moving magazines left and right and changing this and changing prices and all that, and you're like, hey, where's the bug spray? And the dude turns around and he's like, I don't know, I don't even work here. I'm like, whoa, dude, that's weird, you know, you better like stop messing with that, they'll call the cops on you, you know, and you just like run away from that dude, because that's strange. And then you go up to another aisle and you see like somebody changing the prices on the Coke and all that, and the Pepsi and this and that, and they're moving stuff around, they got like a lanyard on and a badge, and they got khaki pants, and you know, that just makes them an employee right there. Maybe they got a smock, I don't know. And you're like, hey dude, where's the bug spray? Dude's like, I don't know, they don't work here. What? What is this, like National Manhandle the Merchandise Day or something? Why are people screwing around with the merchandise? This is weird. If you did this, you'd probably get in trouble, but how come they can do it? I don't know, right? So then you're running away from that person, you go through the greeting cards, there's somebody out there, the greeting cards, and they're moving the greeting cards around, changing displays and marking prices and all this stuff. And you're like, hey, where's the bug spray? This lady turns around, she goes, I don't know, I don't even work here. What is going on? How are all these people in Walmart messing around with the merchandise and they don't even work there? What? Yeah, these vendors. The more technical name for this is called rack jobbers. Rack jobbers are like consignment vendors. And I know a minute ago that I told you that like in retail stores and wholesale stores like a Walmart or whatever, that they could set all their product on fire because they own it all. Well, they don't own all of it. There are certain items that Walmart doesn't want to really take part in because it's too time consuming, too time sensitive, and too much of a gamble in case it goes wrong or goes bad. For instance, like magazines. Walmart would basically have to hire at least one full-time person just to take care of the magazines at every store, maybe even two, because there's so many of them, there's so many orders that have to come in, some of them are weekly, some of them are like daily newspapers and stuff like that. You constantly have to be moving that stuff out and getting it in the best arrangement or it's not going to sell. And with a magazine like, let's say, Time or something, if it's not this week's news, does anybody even want it? No. As soon as it is over, it's over. And you can't even hardly get 10 cents out of that magazine after that. So it's time sensitive. Walmart would rather hand that responsibility over to somebody else versus taking the fall when they don't manage it right. That's the same with greeting cards. I mean, Valentine's Day is gone, man. Those cards are almost worthless for another probably 10 or 11 months. So they don't want to be responsible for that either. So they allow certain companies to come in and basically have a consignment business inside the store. Whenever they sell one, Walmart gets the cut. Well, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah, that's a different type of wholesaler right there. Wholesalers that exist inside retailers. That's called rack jobbers. And then the last type of wholesaler, which is usually unknown to a lot of people, operates something like this. And I'll give you an example of this. This was me in grad school. I did my MBA at the University of North Dakota, and during that time I was the president of the MBA Student Association. So I was responsible on the student side for all the MBA students for, I don't know, roughly 2 years that I did that. Well, anyway, one of the jobs of that position was to act like a liaison between the university and alum that had graduated from the College of Business. So I had to devise a golf tournament because they had a yearly golf tournament at the homecoming time, and the whole point of that was make these people feel all lovey-dovey so they'll have a good time here and then want to go ahead and give money to the college when they leave. That's what the entire thing was about. So I was concocting this golf tournament, and I needed to have some prizes. So I was looking on the internet, and this is like, in the late 1990s, early 2000s. I'm looking on the internet, and the internet was not all that grand back then. But I rolled across some golf gifts, and just by typing in and scrolling through golf products, I found that there was a bowling ball out there that looked just like a golf ball. And I saw a little picture of it on the screen, and I'm like, wow, it looks like a golf ball, but it's got like 3 big holes in it, and it's a bowling ball. It's like a 15-pound bowling ball. It was awesome. And they were $45 being shipped from a wholesaler distributor out in California, I'm sure made in China or something like that, but they were shipped for $45 FedEx with free shipping. That was a pretty good deal. So I'm like, I wonder if that would be a good gift, for the people that win the golf tournament. I'll see about those. So I went over to a bowling alley, had a pro shop in it at the time up there, and I was like, hey, do you have these bowling balls that look like golf balls? And the dude's like, yeah, we used to carry those. They were really good. We don't have any right now. We've been out for a while, but they were a big seller. And I'm like, do they really look good? And the guy's like, yeah, they look just like a gigantic golf ball. And I'm like, that's really cool. I said, how much were those when you sold them? He goes, I don't know. And he went in the back and he checked and he came back. And they were like $119 or whatever. I'm like, whoa, $119? That's a big number. And then I'm thinking in my head, I can get these suckers delivered for $45, right? Delivered to my door. So the next words out of my mouth were, well, it just so happens I'm sitting on a truckload of them. That's what I tell the dude, right? I'm sitting on a truckload of these things. And the guy's like, really? Really? So how much you want for those? And I come up with $80. $80, right? So then I said, you know, do you want any of these things? Because I can have these delivered. And the guy goes, hold on. And he goes in the back room and he makes a call and he comes out, you know, 5 minutes later, whatever it was. And he goes, yeah, we'll take 50 of them. 50 of these things, right? And this is where I'm thinking, I have blown it now. You know, I went in here just to see these balls, and now I just committed to somehow delivering 50 of these things to this guy. And I'm like, this is nuts, you know? And this was my real first experience in like crossing the line into maybe stupidity. Because this is a true story, just like all my stories are, right? And I was a little scared. So this is me up there. I was like Minnesota, North Dakota area. And then this is the California distributor of these balls, right? And this is the pro shop, let's say, right there. Now, what I had to go back and do was I didn't have any money from the pro shop at all. I had to go ahead and place the order. So I had to send the money to the California, you know, distributor of these things. I had to go ahead and buy them online, not even knowing what they really look like. And then a couple weeks later, these balls were sent to the pro shop. So there's the balls. And then it took almost a month before the pro shop actually paid me the money. That's how that little setup went. And I was freaking out because I had just, you know, put forth a lot of money on this. And I put on my credit card too. I didn't have the money up front or whatever. I put on my credit card and I was just hoping that these people actually paid. And when the check finally came in, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's fantastic. So I made roughly about $35 to $40 a ball times 50. So even if I made 30 on the ball times 50, 3 times 5, 15. I made $1,500 on that little deal right there, out of nowhere. And I was just a grad student at the time. You know, I was working at the university and such, and that was a good deal. So you know what I did then? I hit every stinking bowling alley I could find. I even called places down here. I called every single bowling alley down here in Springfield, and I ended up selling them. I think Enterprise is the only one that ordered any of them from me. You know, most of them were like, nope, 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 nope. But all I had to get was somebody to be like, yeah, those were a good seller. Yeah, we'll take those. That was a good price. And that's all it took right there. So I just started calling every place I could find, and all of a sudden, you know, every few weeks I would find another order, and somebody would do it, and I'd go ahead and place the order. I never even saw those balls, man. Isn't that amazing? Never even saw them. What is this called that I had arranged?
Drop shipping.
Drop shipping. Yep. Now, from that right there, what happened was they eventually ran out of these balls. About 7-8 months down the road, they ran out of the balls, and that deal was over. And I never got into that one again. But I started looking for other products, and I'll tell you another product that just happened upon me was somewhere in that same time frame. I had a tower computer, you know, in a tower, and it was a cheap one, and it was probably filled with dust and everything else in there. Well, the bearings of the CPU cooling fan started to go out, and it started getting louder and louder and louder. And I'd turn on my machine, you know, in the apartment, and it would go, and it would stay on that loud the entire time. I couldn't stand it anymore. So I called this friend of mine who, you know, is big into computers and a computer program, all that. And I called him up and like, hey, what do I got here? I mean, do you have any extras in these? He goes, no. He goes, but if you're looking for a quiet fan, I rolled across some website the other day that's got a great deal on these ones that are called a copper flower. So I don't even know what these were, right? But here's, let's say your CPU right here, and gets really hot, and you got to cool it down some way. Well, the normal fans just bolt over the top of those with little screws, and they're just a, you know, just looks like a little fan unit. Well, this was one that bolted onto the side right here, and like there's the fan head unit, and it had big plastic fan pieces, and then you put what was like copper, little thin strips of copper, and that's why it was called a copper flower. That went over top. It was almost like a radiator, is basically what it was acting as. And the heat would radiate up through these copper things, and this really quiet fan would blow from the side of the tower, and it would keep the whole thing cool. And I'm like, yeah, that is really nice. And they were crazy quiet. So I ordered one in, and the crazy thing was only like $16 with free shipping from, once again, from some California distributor. I'm sure the thing was made in China and all that. And then I liked it so much that when I was, I don't know, it was probably a couple weeks later, I was in Best Buy at the time, and I saw something very similar to it. And they were like $35. And I'm thinking, I just got it delivered for 16 bucks. It looks almost identical to these. And they're $35 at Best Buy. I know I have no chance to sell to Best Buy, but I went to Computer Renaissance. And often Computer Renaissance are like a franchise store, you know, so you got mom and pop owners that you can deal with. And I went to them, and you know what I said? Because they also sold a very similar product, and they were like, I don't know, 30 bucks, 35 bucks, similar to Best Buy. And I said, well, I just happen to be sitting on a truckload. Truckload is a good term. You guys ought to use this. I'm sitting on a truckload of these things right now. I can have them delivered to your door for 25 bucks. And of course, once again, dude goes in the back and he comes back, he goes, yeah, okay, all right, we'll do that. How about like, I don't know, you order like 20 or 30 of them or something like that. And I'm like, you bet. And I went back, did the exact same thing. And then I hit every mom and pop computer store I could find in the area, and a bunch of them actually bought those. So that was a pretty good deal on those. And I ran that for a while, and then they eventually stopped doing the free shipping, and it blew my entire margin on the deal, and I was out of those. So then I went to the next product, and I went to the next product. I've been doing this for probably, just on the side or whatever, with things that I see large discrepancies in price on. I've been doing this for probably at least 17, 18, maybe even closer to 20 years now. Yeah. My last big mother load, truckload sales, right, was bike racks. I found a deal with a company out in California, and they're all in California because it's all being shipped in from China. But they were on Saris bike racks, and they were a hitch-mounted 4 bike rack off the back of your car or truck or whatever. And I was getting those stupid things for like $58 and free FedEx shipping. $58 free FedEx shipping. These things were $269 in the store. And they were doing like a model change, and this company just clearanced them out. And I bought to the tune of nearly 200 of those bike racks. It was crazy. And the thing is, on a bunch of the racks though, some of them I sold individually, people that I could do the drop shipping thing with. The others, I just stockpiled in my garage, and they were big boxes. I had boxes and boxes and boxes of these bike racks. It was crazy. And then I was just selling them off, either individually or in group sales anytime I could get a bike store to buy some. Yeah.
I had done a similar thing with like little pink dog beds. It was at a store in Springfield, like you said, I think it was called Deals or something.
Yep.
And I was buying them for $3 a piece. They were really cheap, cute dog beds, and they were Lulu Pink brand or something like that. And I was selling them online. Everybody was selling them for like $20 a piece.
Yeah.
So, and I was, trying to make them a little cheaper, so I would sell more,
That's
sell
right.
them before they would, and I was making a lot of money.
We need to be honest here. She went and bought one. I said, how much was that? $3. Online, she goes, these are like $25. I said, go back and buy all of them. Every one of them that they got in that store, and we did and sold all of them too.
See, that's exactly right. That's exactly how you do it. And because you saw this great discrepancy in price, and you guys can do the exact same thing. This has made, and I'm going to be honest with you, tens of thousands of dollars. I've made tens of thousands of dollars by doing this.
Yeah.
And it lasts for a while, and then they're gone, or you can't get the deal anymore, or you can't get people to buy them. The drop shipping thing is very nice because you don't have to handle any of it. That's the nice thing. So with the bike racks, I probably sold, I would say, to the tune of maybe 50 or so of those without ever seeing them. I had them shipped, from the company out in California, and I never saw them. So that made a really nice deal. But you guys can do the same thing if you're just aware and alert of these price differences. And that's how almost everybody ends up starting out anyway. So go ahead and do that stuff. But that concept where you never touch it is called drop shipping. Now, how do retailers compete? Retailers in themselves, if you think of it, why do you go to some stores over other stores? There's got to be some level of competition that is driving you to go to one store over a competitor's store. So what might it be? Could it be service? Maybe some stores offer more service or better service than other stores, and that is definitely true. And with the aging population in the United States and the baby boomers, they want service. Because older people can't do as much as they could before, therefore they want somebody that's going to fill in that gap and do a lot of it for them. So service is a big, big deal, and some companies will beat other companies based on service. Give me another reason why you go to some places over other places.
Price.
Okay, and price, once again, in fact, you're right. Let me put price at the top because it is the monster, and I'm going to separate it because it's so big. Like we said the other day, it can drive you into buying from a particular store, even if it's not convenient. You will go out of your way to go to this because it's got the best price. Price is the big one. So I'm going to say yes to it, and I'm going to separate it. And then let's look at non-price competition. So, like I said before, we throw service in there. How about location and convenience? Some stores are just better placed. Their locale is better, and therefore you're going to go to them more frequently. And we talked about Walmart versus Target. That's exactly why Walmart is dominating. They just are much more convenient because they're all over the place compared to Target's very specific locations where they plant their stores. What else you got? What about selection? Would you say that some stores just offer more selection than other stores? Yeah, absolutely. And we'll throw this out there, be stereotypical, but guys, if you are looking for any sort of like auto related stuff, filters, oil, whatever it might be, are you going to Walmart or going to Target? Walmart, hands down. Target is like, what are they even doing with this stuff on the shelves? You know, they hardly have anything of it. There's almost no selection there at all. And therefore, Walmart beats them hands down on that stuff. And then you get into like grocery items. Walmart expanded out into the super centers because people said that, well, it's nice that I can come here for everything. I wish you had more groceries. And they told them that for so long that they eventually said, you're right, we need to have a full line of groceries, like a regular grocery store. And because of that, Target had to then copy them. And Target moved in with the Target Super Center for a while. Or Super Target, I guess is what it was called. And they did not turn the Springfield one into a Super Target. They did another concept called Great Lands, which is like a middle ground or a modified supermarket in there. But selection can be a very big thing. And then if you look at selection of like toys, I mean, if you're looking for an obscure toy, where are you going to go?
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us, yeah. They're like a category killer is what they're called, where if you're looking for toys, they've got it all. If you're looking for like outdoor sporting goods, then who has it all? Bass Pro does. They're a category killer store. Now Bass Pro is really the anomaly here, but a lot of these other stores like Toys R Us, like KB Toys, like FAO Schwartz, they have been going under in the last basically 2 decades. Out of business. Why have some of these predominantly selection-oriented stores been going out of business in the last couple decades? Internet shopping is one. You're exactly right. And the other thing would be?
All entertainment forms are now cell phones.
Or what?
All entertainment is now your cell phone.
Well, that would be almost like the internet, you know, where you can use the internet to access things and all. But no, there's a lot of other entertainment forms going on outside of, you know, gaming on a phone or something like that. Let's say that you're looking for this toy, and let's say it's the hot toy, right? It's, you know how you had the Tickle Me Elmo a few years ago or something like that. Everybody wanted the Tickle Me Elmo, and everybody was out of it. Well, let's say the hot new toy is the Kill Me Elmo, because people are really sick of the Tickle Me Elmo. It's time to kill him, so it's the Kill Me Elmo. And Walmart's like, oh my gosh, the Kill Me Elmo is going to be huge. So Walmart goes to Mattel, and they tell Mattel, listen, we want the first shipments of the Kill Me Elmo, and we want them 2 weeks before everybody else. And, you know, Mattel's like, well, we can't do that. You know, we got Toys R Us and all these other people. And then Walmart says, listen, if you don't give us the first shipments of the Kill Me Elmo, then we're not going to carry any of your Mattel products. Now, what do you think Mattel's going to do? You're getting it. That's right. No worries, man. It might come 3 weeks early. You're going to get it. Walmart has the ability to dominate their environment. Remember we talked about that before? The difference between small versus big businesses? Big businesses can dominate their environment. They can dominate their suppliers. Walmart can dominate their suppliers. Therefore, they're probably going to get that stuff. So the greatest items in each product category, the ones that make the most money, the ones that are the most popular, the large box stores are going to be able to get those. And when they are able to grab the lion's share of that market, then they have driven off a lot of these category killer selection stores. Yep. So there you go. So those have been going downhill for a while now, except for Bass Pro. Bass Pro has actually increased, and that's maybe it's just because the market has not fully tapped out, you know, in that category. I don't know, but there you go. All right, and then another way that some stores compete is entertainment. You know, entertainment. Think of it this way, like Bass Pro. Bass Pro did make their book on this one too. But Bass Pro entertains their customers. They want customers to stick around in the store for as long as possible. And that is true to the case that the Springfield store, the original store, what is the average length of stay of a customer that goes into the Springfield store? Take a guess. How long do they stay there?
Hour and 20
2
minutes.
hours?
2.5.
4?
4. It's between 3 and 5. It's between 3 and 5. So that average is, we're going to average that out to 4 in here. 4 hours is the average length of stay. My gosh, 4 hours. That's a long time. You can pass by a lot of stuff. And you know, if you commit 4 hours to something, are you just going to walk away empty-handed? You know, you drove like 6 hours to come to the store. You've been inside for 4 hours. You're leaving with something, aren't you? You know it. And therefore, that can drive sales because they need to entertain you to get you to stick around. Yeah.
At Hobby Lobby, we do kind of a different approach. We move all of our aisles around, so people have to search around more and stuff, so they stay at the store longer.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
They can't even find the exits after a while, right? Because we moved the door.
But Walmart does the same thing.
That is kind of funny. Yeah, Walmart moves their products around, but it's based, the reason Walmart does it is not because they're trying to confuse customers to get them to stay longer. Walmart does it because they're trending this off from data, and therefore they know that you know, certain customers come to the stores at certain times, and they're looking for certain products at certain times. It's almost like the analyzation of big data. That's how Walmart handles that. But it sounds like you're on the confusion strategy. Yeah.
Drives me insane.
I've got
It's so
a
annoying.
question
Just a second,
about
yeah.
something at Walmart.
Yeah.
So like, every single time you go at Walmart, like Coca-Cola is always at the end of the aisle.
Yep.
Is that like placed there for a reason?
It could be, and I mean, there's a lot of contracts that go behind the scenes that Coke puts up money at certain times, and it may be for a contract period in order to get these end-cap displays, to get preferential treatment in the stores, to get a higher or lower position on a shelf. There's money being paid to the stores to get those things. That could be one thing. There could be just data trending that shows that, you know, Coke is popular at these times of the year, therefore we could sell more Coke if we have it in these locations, and they've tracked that. So both of those things could be happening there.
Well, I know that, because I work at Walmart, it's really tiny, so our store might be a little different, but I know that Marlboro, like, there's always some few of us that know the cigarettes away, like where they go, busting it up. They pay, we've got like maybe 7 or 8 rows of cigarettes. They pay a special fee to have those talked to. So
Yeah.
if there's anything like Camel, if that's up there, our store can get in trouble.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I know they pay like certain to get extra money.
Yep, that's right. It's called retailer support, and it goes into all those type of contracts to get shelf spacing, position inside the stores and all of that. And it's, if you think of it, it's kind of an interesting field too, you know, to negotiate a contract of exactly where your product's gonna show up on the shelf. Very, very interesting. And like companies like Marlboro and Campbell and such, they have offices down in Bentonville. And you guys ought to drive down to Bentonville. If you guys have not been down there in like a long time or whatever, you should go. It's huge. It's way bigger than Springfield is now. Way bigger. And all these Fortune 500 companies have offices there because they're supplying to Walmart. It is absolutely impressive. And then also you've got the Crystal Bridges Museum. That's something else that you can do down there if you go to go to Bentonville. That's a world-class museum that was built with Walmart and Tyson chicken money. It's valued at well over $1 billion. It's incredible. It's only a couple, I don't know, 2.5 hour drive from here, but it's free. The museum's totally free. You might even be able to walk around with Sam Walton's daughter. She's there giving tours all the time. She's the second wealthiest woman in the entire world. And she has devoted basically her whole life to building this museum and stocking it with the absolute best American art in the country. So it's a great trip, so you ought to go down and see that. But Bentonville is quite impressive. But anyway, you're right, entertainment. They get you to stick around longer, you're going to buy something. I mean, think of it. You could take a concept of even like foods. Look at Lambert's, right? You're selling medium quality food in large quantities at outrageous prices because you're beating people in the head with rolls. You know what I mean? How else can this be possible? Nobody would be going there in the frequency that they are going there now unless there's this entertaining feature. And it's really funny because one day, I haven't been in there in a long time, and I would bet you guys probably do not go there either. unless somebody comes into town that wants to go there. Like some relative or friend that's like, oh, I've heard of this place that they throw rolls. I bet you that's the only time you go to that place. Well, that's the same with me. Well, we went, I don't know, quite a few years ago, and there's this old lady in the back, you know, this is, before they put up those flags, years ago, but before they had the flags, the roll people could throw it, and the roll could go higher, so they didn't have to throw it as hard, because they could loft it, you know, and then the person could catch the roll or whatever. But when they put those big flags in there, now the people have to throw it like lower and harder in order to get it back there. And there's this old lady, and she's in the back, and she's like yelling, roll, roll, you know, and they keep ignoring her, and then finally some dude on the other side of the store, and I swear, he's this far from that back wall back there, and the old lady's like, roll, you know, and he's like, I got a roll for you, and he digs one out, and he just like beams that thing to her, and it was like a strike, you know, and she's like got her hands ready, and all of a sudden, bam, right through her fingers and thumbs, nails her in the face. Not any other restaurant, that'd be like a lawsuit, right? And she was laughing and giggling, had like a grease spot on her head and everything, and she couldn't be happier. I mean, you entertain people in some weird way, and you're probably going to sell more product. Look at the concept of Shoe Carnival, for crying out loud. I mean, lights are flashing, people spinning wheels, guys screaming at you with megaphones, and you couldn't like it anymore. So it's a very interesting thing. Yeah.
They did have that lawsuit though, didn't they? Someone, like,
Yeah, it was like a
their
year ago
retina
or so.
off their retina.
I don't know
Yeah,
if it was
but
the one
they
in
got
Ozark.
Oh, did it really?
Either
Yeah.
an eye
Oh,
or
that's a
like-
shame, yeah.
That
mean,
was bound to happen.
Things can go wrong.
I kind of feel like you know that that's going to happen. If
Yeah.
you
But that
Right.
was the lawsuit, what the lawsuit was about, was they were arguing that, well, you come here knowing you're gonna get
Sure,
roll stuff.
like going to a baseball game and getting hit with.
That was what they compared it to,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right, you know, and that's, oh boy, there's some good cases about that exist out there. Have you guys taken business law yet? In the business law book, there's a case study out there about somebody getting nailed in the head with a baseball, and they're arguing, you know, that this is common practice, it's gonna happen, you're taking risk on yourself, and you know, see how it all plays out. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, you're right. Entertainment, you never know what's going to go wrong. Now, in order to move it along, maybe we'll get out of here a few minutes early. There are non-traditional ways to sell your stuff. If you think of retailer and wholesalers, they're traditional in our minds of being a store. Consumers have to go to that location in order to buy this stuff. It has been that way for thousands of years. Think of like the grain markets in the Middle East and all that. That's what they were. People were going to those locations to buy their stuff. And then all of a sudden somebody said, no, let's take this sucker on the road. Take it on the road? Well, that's different. So I will come to your town, and then we will sell it that way. So door to door was one of the first non-traditional techniques, the breakaway idea that got more products sold. So now you can travel around with those products and open up the markets to all these people in different towns. So door to door is very interesting. Now, from door to door, there was other sorts of creations that came about, and a lot of these were through the advent of technology. So the next innovation that came along was the catalog. Instead of everybody coming to us in a storefront, why don't we list everything we have in a catalog, and then we'll mail the catalogs out, and then we will create a drop shipping method. So Sears and Roebuck and Ward Company, which became Montgomery Ward's, were one of the first companies to do this really large-scale catalogs. And you could order anything in there. I'm talking, you could order like ducks, chickens, cows, wedding dresses, knives, everything, you know, jewelry and plates and china. All of that was in this catalog. And a lot of people thought that Sears was making all this stuff. Up in Chicago, man, they had a manufacturing plant the size of Texas or something up there. No, they weren't. When somebody ordered, they sent their money to Sears. Sears sent the order to like a carriage builder in Kentucky. And then that guy would build the carriage and then drop ship it to the customer that ordered it. So Sears and Roebuck and Montgomery Ward's are really some of the very first drop shipping companies out there. That's pretty innovative, pretty interesting. So, you know, that went strong for many, many years. And speaking of catalogs, you could even look at Bass Pro. Bass Pro got really big. In their third year of operation back in the 70s, they started doing a catalog. And that's what took them through the roof. It's where they got all their profit so they could build like a home store or whatever. And so catalog sales are pretty interesting. From catalog sales, we now have kind of morphed in the 1960s and 70s into telemarketing. So let's just call people up directly and talk to them and try to get them to buy our product. Telemarketing worked a lot better in its creation, so sales went way up, and then they started to slack off about a decade or so later because people got sick of the phone calls. But at first they liked it because all calls used to cost money. Even local calls used to cost money. So when somebody was calling you, that was important. And when somebody called you to buy the ShamWow or whatever, you're like, what? You want me to buy the ShamWow? This must be a big deal, man. You wouldn't waste your money to call me unless the ShamWow was really good. And then next thing you know, you're buying the ShamWow. So they were really good at first and people got sick of the sales. And then we could go to the internet. With emails and those type of internet solicitations, same thing. Sales of that took off and then started to decline with the direct solicitations. But now they're starting to come back up again because they're more pinpointed solicitations. So when you go to Amazon and buy something or any website, the cookies that are built inside those systems will then pop up and show you other products that you might like. So when you're on Google, you're going to get an ad. When you go back to Amazon, it's going to know what you bought last time and it's going to present products that you probably would like in the future based on your buying habits. And the trends are coming back up again on those internet solicitations. So that's pretty interesting too. And then you've got some other ways of selling products. One of those is called direct selling. Direct selling is very similar to door to door. Someone comes to you and asks you specifically to buy something. Specifically, they're in your face and you feel weird about that. And next thing you know, you're buying stuff. Does that ever happen to you? Guys, and I could probably put that out there, most of this is going to happen to women in here, but you ever get together with some of your friends and sit around and look at candles, look at like kitchen products, look at makeup products in a group with your mom, your cousin, your friend? And has this ever happened to anybody in here? Oh yeah, yeah, what was it? What did you go to? I think
I've been to lots
Oh,
of
yeah.
parties.
lots of. All right. What did you guys go to today?
See, my mind is going to which one it is. Just from your husband's reaction.
Oh, okay, let's go to another one, yeah. Keep it clean.
Mary Kay, Mary Kay.
All right, what did you guys go to? Arbonne? Was it?
Mary Kay.
Mary Kay, there you go. Mary Kay, Arbonne, Tupperware, the candle things, blah, 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 Pampered Chef or whatever. Those are all direct selling. Somebody's coming into your living room and they're showing you these products and next thing you know, you're buying them. And how many of you that went to these things, and maybe not you, I don't know, but how many of you said, oh man, my friend's having this, I gotta go to support my friend, you know, I can't just stiff my friend, I'm gonna have to go, but I'm only gonna buy the one cheapest thing on the little item sheet. That's what you told yourself, right? Next thing you know, you're walking out with an apple peeler and wow, and this and you know, all these products, and you never thought you would because you got to see them, you know, actually displayed before you, and it worked, let's say. That happens with direct selling. When somebody is there, you feel odd, and then you're more apt to buy these products. So the vacuum cleaner salesman, right? That's how Kirby got really big and some other vacuum sales companies. And I can remember this. There was this vacuum cleaner dude long ago. I was about, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 years old. And he comes to the door and he's selling this vacuum cleaner called a Fairfax. And it looked like, I mean, it was chrome. It looked like something out of Star Wars, you know. It's really cool. And it rolled around the house and all of a sudden it had this hose, which was also like a chrome hose or whatever. And anyway, the guy's in the kitchen and he's telling my dad, he's like, oh yeah, the suction of this vacuum is greater than any other vacuum out in the market, blah, blah, blah. And my dad's like, yeah, whatever, okay. And then he like puts it on the floor. He takes off the wheels and he puts it on the floor. And he goes, here, I'll turn it on and you try to pull up on this thing because you will not be able to pull it off the floor. The suction of this thing is incredible. And my dad's like, yeah, whatever, okay. My dad's kind of a big old dude, right? So the guy turns it on and my dad goes over and he like gets over it and he goes, rah! And he rips it up and it rips the linoleum right off the kitchen floor. And my dad got so stinking mad, he drops the vacuum, looks at this guy, and the guy's like, okay, and he starts packing all this stuff up or whatever. And it's funny because we had this balled up floor in our kitchen for a long time based on that. I was laughing my head off. I thought it was hilarious, you know. But that was direct selling. It was taking place right before me. So it does work. Now there's something else. Oh yeah, there's something else called direct marketing, and direct marketing is not direct selling because no one's coming to your door on a direct marketing thing. Direct marketing means you have watched enough infomercials that you know if you want the ShamWow, you need to call that number or go online. If you want the Billy Mays OxyClean, you know what to do next. Billy Mays is not going to show up at your door. He's dead, so, you know, that'd be weird if he did show up at your door. But if the ShamWow guy shows up at your door, you better slam it and call the cops. That guy's a freak, man. Yeah, I think he's in prison now. So, if you didn't learn anything else today, you know, get away from the ShamWow guy. The guy is nuts. Okay, but that's direct marketing. You know what to do if you want the ShamWow or the OxyClean or the Dell computer. That's how those were done with direct marketing. It's up to you to take the next action. Now let's look at the next concept, and then, oh, man, shoot. Okay, let me add this one too. MLM marketing. MLM marketing ends up looking like a pyramid. And sometimes multi-level marketing is called a pyramid scam, and it's not always a pyramid scam, and they get a bad rap. So if you look at companies like Amway back in the day, they were an MLM product. But also, you could look at Arbonne and Mary Kay and Pampered Chef, and all of these other things are classified under the context of multi-level marketing. Some person devises or starts the company, and they get people to work underneath them that can sell product on their own, and then anything they sell, they get the lion's share of the commission, but then the person above them gets like 1, 2, 3, 5%, whatever it might be. And then these people can go get sales reps, and the same thing happens. So what happens is the people at the top end up making lots and lots of money. The people at the bottom can make lots of money also. So it's a traditional, well, quasi-traditional type of commission plan. So what could go wrong with this, where sometimes they get a bad rap, let's say? What could go wrong there?
Can't find people for the bottom.
Well, you know, you may not be able to find people underneath you, but you still have the right to sell anything you can, and you can make a lot of money. I know a lady up in North Dakota, and she gets the Cadillac at Mary Kay like every 2 years or something. It's ridiculous. Her husband even quit his job because she could not physically drive to all the customers and deliver the products. And he had to quit his just to deliver the makeup to all these ladies up in, you know, Minnesota area and all that.
Well, they're done on consignment, so they could adjust their prices too low and
Well,
margins shrink.
Okay, now on some of these products, there's no wiggle room. You've got to sell it for what it is on some things. But where these can go wrong is, what happens if the supply of the product that you bought in to sell, because you had to pay money to get into the business, what happens if the supply is really not there? Then you kind of got hosed, didn't you? You paid, you know, $1,500 to get into the system. They knew that they could only get that type of price from a supplier for about a year or two. And now that you paid into it and a few months have gone on, oh, look, we're out of the makeup. Yeah, I guess we're finished now. They knew that was going to happen. So that's where normally these will end up being called a pyramid scam or a pyramid scheme. And there's a big lawsuit right now going on with a vitamin company. They were selling vitamins in this type of scheme. And the person that arranged it all knew that the supplier contract for the vitamins would not last more than 5 years. He signed a 5-year deal on these prices, and then after that, there was nothing. So people paid $1,600 each in order to get in to be a sales rep for the vitamins, and then a few years down the road, we're done, no more vitamins. And they got hacked off, and there's a big class action lawsuit about it. That's where that can typically go wrong. Other than that, it's a decent system that actually can produce a lot of results for people. Now let's look at delivery. If you want to have the product delivered from the manufacturer into the hands of the consumers, there's a lot of people along the way that can touch it. There are efficient and inefficient ways to do it. So you could ship product by product. Like, here's an iPhone or something like that, right? You could ship each iPhone individually from China to every single customer. Oh, I don't know if that's really the greatest idea. A lot of cost involved with that. Maybe I should take all of these products and put them in a semi-large box, and maybe I could ship that semi-large box to Springfield, and then ship a semi-large box to Columbia, and another semi-large box from China to Joplin, and another semi-large box from China to Tulsa, and you get the drift of that. There still has to be a lot of individualized packing and an individualized unwrapping or distribution of the product once it goes to all these locations. maybe there's even a more efficient way to do this. Maybe we ought to take all of those boxes into like a region, let's say, or a zone, and we put them in a large container, and we will ship that container from China to Kansas City. From Kansas City, all along the way, it will not leave the large container until it gets to Kansas City, and then maybe it will be, unpacked and distributed from that point on. But the way that this occurs with this large cargo container, and I'll be with you in just a second, with this large cargo container is the most efficient method that we have going for us right now, as far as moving freight from one distance to another distance that's far away. So if you were to put this container on a train, let's say, or on a truck, you could draw the truck out here or whatever, and there you go. You put it on that flatbed truck or a train, and you deliver it over land. What is that?
Freight forwarding.
It is part of freight forwarding, you are right. This is called piggybacking. Piggybacking or piggyback. Now, you could also take this container right off the train, right off the truck, without unloading it, that's the whole key to this, and put it on a boat and ship it from China over to the US or whatever. There it is now. It's on the boat and it's out here in the water. What swims out in the water? Sharks, fish. So this is called fishy back. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, maybe I'm making this up, I don't know. And then you could take this container, if you really need to get it there quick, and you could put it on a plane. Look at there, put it on a plane, the container's inside, and what flies in the air? Birds. Birdie back. Is this even real? Is this even real? Fishy back, piggy back, birdie back. Am I making this up? Did you guys read your chapter? Is this real or not?
I didn't see
It's real.
It's in there.
It's real. That is exactly right. A lot of you guys did not read this chapter, and I know you have no idea what I'm talking about. I could be pulling your leg on this and everything else in this class. You realize that? Just like people will pull your legs and give you faulty information your entire life if you are not informed of things. You have to get knowledge, okay? If you listen to your ding-dong coworkers your whole life, you are going to hose yourself. I'm just telling you straight up. You need to be the leaders. You've got to have the information. So make sure that you acquire all that information, and then people will be looking to you for this stuff. You'll get the raises. You will get the pats on the back, because they'll realize that nobody can trump knowledge. You realize that? Nobody can trump it. So you've got to have this information, but this is actually true. This is called intermodal shipping. Intermodal shipping uses one container, one unit that can span different modes of transportation, whether it be trucks and trains, ships, or planes. Intermodal shipping, it is the most efficient thing that we have going for us right now. Yeah.
Is there ever a problem with any of these things getting like abandoned or robbed, like in the trains?
Well, I mean, if you look at like some of the ships going through over on the the eastern side of Africa, yeah, there's the Somali pirates and stuff like that, and I think some of them would be worried about that. The problem is the ships that carry these type of containers are absolutely gigantic. They are huge, and they can carry hundreds, if not thousands, of those containers on them, and so there's not a lot of outfits out there that could pull up next to one of these ships and take them over. So I think as far as security-wise, yeah, there's always something weird that could happen, but I think that they're pretty much safe for right now anyway.
Because I think about it, I mean, that's highly valuable. If you have
Oh, yeah.
10 of those things stacked on each other just full of iPhones.
Absolutely. And cars, they put cars in these containers too. It's absolutely huge, the amount of money that is involved in one of these ships coming out of China or even from here over to there. It's mind-boggling amounts of money. And they have, believe me, they got guards and everything else shooting people out of the water. That stuff actually occurs. So, that being said, this is the most efficient way, and this has driven us towards more outsourcing. So this is a double-edged sword. We have made transportation so easy that people have done this more over the last several decades, and it's become cheaper to have stuff made in China and ship it over through these methods than it ever used to be before that. That is why, yes, that's neat, but we also have lost a lot of jobs because of this. Somebody else had a hand up a second ago. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I work for a roofing supply company,
Uh-huh.
and they have their own manufacturing plants, and they actually closed one down to get the nails made overseas and brought in on.
On that way, right there.
Just because they could be like double profits,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and not have to mess with all of that hassle.
Yep, that's right, the cost, and you know, the consumer wants the cheapest nails, they want the cheapest whatever, so therefore, how are you gonna give it to them? Well, we're gonna have to go overseas in order to get it made cheaper, and next thing you know, there's more jobs just gone, you know? So that's why I really say, we talked about this the other day when you brought this up, you have got to look at your products. And there's nothing like ethnocentric or geocentric about buying American products, because you are buying from your jobs, right? You are actually buying your job in the future. And as an economy, if we do not buy the stuff that we build here, we are going to be in massive trouble, way more than we are right now. And we're in trouble compared to what we were 30 years ago. And some of this isn't natural happening through technology, I understand that. But a lot of it stems from we will not buy our own stuff. And that just shows how dumb we are. You know, so pick up your products and see what they are. Don't just go with the cheapest one. You're buying your job in the future.
So
So
who are you voting for?
oh, man, we'll talk about that after. Yeah, I've got my candidate all right, yeah. But, yeah, we'll talk in a minute. Okay, all right. Anyway, because I don't want to influence anybody in here, although I do want to influence
Right.
everybody in here. I hate to be like, oh, he was saying all sorts of stuff, you know what I mean? People get all squirrely about that.
Well, I can guess one that you're
No, I'm not, I'll tell you this, I'm not voting for Trump.
Good.
I do like some of the things Trump is saying. I thought he did a good job with stirring the pot at the beginning and getting people to drop their political correct junk. You know, I don't like that. And he did a good job at that, but he's also on every side of the issue. Over the last 20 years, he has been on every side of every single issue that comes up, and they have it on tape saying all this stuff. And so I don't know what I'm getting with a guy like that. I just don't, you know, so therefore I'm leery of him. Crazy. So anyway, all right, so we'll just conclude it right there. Tuesday's your test, 13, 14, 15. And that's probably it. So adios.
Skip chapter 16.
Yes, we're not doing 16 in this one. That's your plan.